All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. I also would like to give double honors to our apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule well through the Holy Spirit. And I want to say peace, blessings, and many salutations that are unto you elect who are across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. I'm the brother Sha'ar from the Great Millstone Dallas branch, and I'm coming to you all with another lesson, which is inspired by the Holy Spirit. And Lord willing, this lesson here will be edifying unto the flock. And just to put it out there, but we are dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places, as you can read it in the book of Ephesians. Matter of fact, let me go on and pull this up here. And it's a reason why I'm starting this lesson here on this verse, because for those of us that are here in Babylon, and not even just in Babylon, but various parts of the earth, you know, various first world countries, as you will. But within these first world countries, which is headed by Babylon, which is, you know, America, according to the Holy Scriptures, it's called Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots. But there are a lot of wicked symbolic ties within these different first world countries, again, headed by America, which is Mystery Babylon. And you can find a lot of symbolism within certain laws that they pass, certain symbols that they use, certain words, you know. And as we live here, I'd rather say within the last days, and the scriptures talks about whenever wickedness increases, transgression increases also. And it makes all the much sense, I'd rather say, as we're here in the very end, how much wicked ties are really rooted within these first world countries, which again is headed by America, which is Mystery Babylon. And just yesterday, one of the brothers posted on our chat, all right, something interesting that I wanted to put on wax. And what the brother posted just further proves that this country that we live in is not only Babylon the Great, but as the scriptures also calls it, the mistress of witchcraft. All right. But I said I'd read this in the book of Ephesians, the 6th chapter. And I'm going to start on this and just read it, namely within this verse. And I'm also going to read this in the New Living Translation, just to really zone in this verse right here. When you read it in this version here, it really sets the tone of what we see today and what we're really fighting against. So this is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And it says, "For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world." So you have wicked elites that exist right now that are doing a lot of wickedness, witchcraft in high places. And you have examples within the scriptures on different stumbling blocks and different spells and such being casted to pretty much cause Israel to stumble. And just as it was being done back then, it's being done here within these last days. The only thing is we have the blood of our Lord Yahweh Shai, and with his blood, we're able to withstand the different spells that are being casted against us. You know, as the scriptures talks about those darts that are flying against us, we have this shield of faith to block it out, because again, we're wrestling against spiritual wickedness in high places. This ain't just a regular fight that we're fighting. All right. When you look at a boxing match, you have 12 rounds if it's a high caliber boxing match. And within every round, very interesting. You're throwing punches, you're being punched, you're fighting fatigue, you know, you're fighting mentally against your opposition. And that's a fight within itself. And then you have a fight in the unseen world, as the Apostle Paul elaborated here in Ephesians, the 6th chapter. And the unseen stuff that we're fighting against, again, are different stumbling blocks and such that are being casted by these witches that are here. Because again, circling back around to why I'm doing this lesson, there is spiritual wickedness in high places being done, especially when you look at Mystery Babylon. So when I'm going to go and continue in this verse and go off in this lesson and what I want to talk about, But it says, for we are not, Salakia, fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in the dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. All right. So the fight that we're fighting is a lot more vast than what we even think. You know, and that leads me to go back into this point again. The priest Benaiah ended up sending this article, and within this link here, it's the different ranking system within the Church of Satan. And again, here in Babylon, we live in a society that's definitely satanic. We live in the most satanic society that has ever existed on the earth. You know, and when you go into these different degrees, as you see here in the background, but these are the different degrees in the Church of Satan. All right. And you can type it in Google, and that's what I did. And it's a website, and it's the hierarchy of the Church of Satan. And the Church of Satan, which was started by Anton LaVey. Matter of fact, let me go on and just read a little bit of this here, because you'll start to see some characteristics that fall within Babylon or America, you know, as I go into this lesson and break it down, I'd rather say. But it says the hierarchy in the Church of Satan, and then it says Anton LaVey formulated a system of degrees during the early years of the Church of Satan. As such was a general practice in many prior social and esoteric organizations. However, the criteria for elevation in our church was based not on mysticism or occultism, but on knowledge of practical subjects beyond Satanism. And even more than that, on the application of such wisdom toward measurable ends. Dr. LaVey experimented by mandating the specific colors of medallions, which could be worn by each member according to degree. All right. And remember, the point of why I'm reading this is going into the different degrees that are in the Church of Satan, because within one of these degrees, you find something interesting. But continuing on, it says, and for a time written, exams were given to assess a member's readiness of a particular level. Matter of fact, there's quite a bit to read, so I'm going to just jump down. All right. It says, today we maintain our traditional degrees, but these should not be seen as initiatory steps, which are expected of our members. The Church of Satan is not an initiatory organization. It is our position that for those with awareness, by living fully, will have plenty of authentic initiatory experiences through many avenues you explore. Hence, there is no need for such artificial posturing in our church. And again, it's talking about the Church of Satan. In fact, no member is required to move beyond registered membership. The first degree, denoting active membership, is only for members who seek more involvement within the organization and other local members. The remaining degrees, from the second through the fifth, are not open to application on our request. Our specific standards for them will not be publicly released. The administration watches the progress, of qualified members, and may choose to grant recognition to outstanding individuals based on demonstrated excellence in the understanding and communication of satanic theory, coupled with significant potent practices in the arena of the real world, which have produced superior achievements. People naturally and quite organically rise to peculiar levels, and we may take note of our discretion. This is meritocracy at work. So if you are so inclined, keep us updated on your accomplishments so that your progress may be noted. All right. So just going into that. All right. That was pretty much the registration going into it. And that's the first degree, technically. And as it was read, it's 4 more degrees. And the second degree, I'm going to just go into it because the 5th degree is what I really want to hone in. And as I'm going into this lesson, because again, you have spiritual wickedness that's working in high places. And when people think Satanism and witchcraft, they just look at it as, the devil and people that are just worshiping the devil. But it's a lot more than just worshiping the spiritual demon Satan. But it's a lot of ties within Satanism that are pushed within the society, within this culture that we see here today. All right. Even the scriptures considers this society that we live in to be made after the image of the beast. All right. Which this society is molded. You have the wicked elites that are setting the tone of wickedness. And then you have different nations under the those ruling class elites that make up the beast system, which makes up the 7 heads and the 10 horns that are described as a beast, as you read about in these last days, which consist of namely those European unions. And then you have Mystery Babylon, which sits on the forefront of that, pertaining to Revelation 17th chapter. All right. So again, namely the last degree is what I'm going to focus in on, and why I'm doing this lesson. But it says the first degree of the Church of Satan is a registered member, which is technically no degree. Then the second, which is really the first, is an active member. The third is a witch or a warlock, and we live in a world that's full of witches and warlocks. The next is the priest or priestess. The third is the magistrate or magister, and the fourth is called magus or maga, M-A-G-A or M-A-G-S. And that's what I wanted to push here, because when you go into this degree, or this final degree, I'd rather say, of Satanism, you find the title of that, which is called Maga. And you hear that word being brought up here, especially a lot within the whole right wing party. All right. And you have a movement that they call Make America Great Again, or they call MAGA, or, you know, and those of us that are within the loop, we know when we see things like that and hear things like that, if it looked like a duck and it quacks like a duck, as they would say, then we ultimately know that it's a duck. So this is the information that we've been blessed with to know in these last days. And we see articles like this. And obviously, first and foremost, we know the scriptures, and it helps warn us within these further plans that these devils plan on doing. Because again, you have people that are promoting this name here, not even just people, but you even have the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American that's even bit down on this theology here. All right, which again, MAGA or Magus. And even to further expound on this here, just to show forth that America is tied to witchcraft. And in the scriptures, it does consider America being like a witch. You can go into Revelation, the 18th chapter. And when you read Revelation, the 18th chapter, it goes into a judgment that's tied to Mystery Babylon the Great, which prophetically we know and believe is talking about America. America is called Babylon the Great prophetically in the Holy Bible. All right. Or the daughter of Babylon, I'd rather say. But when you read about the judgment of Babylon, and there's a particular wording here in verse 2, as it's written. And I'll actually start at verse 1, because, again, this is a judgment that's tied to Mystery Babylon, which is a nation that's tied with witchcraft. All right. So Revelation 18:1 says, "And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird." So what's being explained here in Revelation chapter 18, verse 2, you have an angel here in the very end that's going to give a cry in the last days. And that cry that's given is the same cry for the elect to get beamed up into the air, as the Apostle Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. All right, the scriptures calls it a trumpet that's to be blown. And when that cry is made, that's when it's going to be told for the elect to leave and flee out of Babylon. And it's not going to be done in a way that a lot of people think. You have certain people that are out here that think that the Israelites are going to leave by way of ship again. You have Israelites that think that we have been supposed to flee out of America. But the way that we get delivered out of America is going to be reminiscent to the way that we got delivered out of ancient Egypt. And that reminiscent part is that it's going to be done by the hand of the Lord. All right. Versus ancient Egypt, you had the Gulf of Suez of the Red Sea that was split in two, where we walked on dry land through the sea for around 8 miles. And that was such heavy of a salvation, that we had, that it's still celebrated to this day as we keep the Passover. But then you have the great deliverance out of Mystery Babylon, where we are going to be delivered in the air, just as we were delivered through the sea, which was likened unto a baptism. Pertaining to 1 Corinthians 10, we are going to be delivered in the waters as well, through the heavens, through the waters and through the fire, where we will be delivered in the air and delivered into a chariot. Lord willing, we're of that number. All right. But namely, going back into this here, you have the scriptures where this great angel is crying out to Babylon the Great, talking about how it's going to be judged and it's going to be a habitation of unclean birds and he-goats. All right. And that's going into after Babylon is burned with fire. There's going to be no people that are going to be left. Right. But when you go into this word Babylon the Great, just so we can circle this back into the point, you find this word here, the great in Greek is pronounced Megas, which is the same word for the fifth degree of the Church of Satan. And again, none of this stuff is done by mistake. All right. Just as you have Megas, which Megas is Latin for a witch. This also helps signify that Babylon is the mistress of witchcraft that's talked about here or spoken of within these scriptures. So this is the word great in the Greek.
Strong's G 3173, Megas. Megas.
All right, Megas. Okay, just as you go into that fifth degree of Satanism, it's the same word. Just as you think of Make America Great Again, MAGA, that's the same word. So you have ample examples that are around us that point to America being Babylon the Great, or Mystery Babylon, which is designed to be burned with fire. Just as a witch is designed to be burned with fire, it's going to be the same outcome to this place that's engulfed within witchcraft. All right. So when you go into this word megas or great here in the Greek, it says mass, weight, stature, or age, or great. OK, so it's going into the authority and the importance that Babylon had. And again, ironically enough, you find the same word megas here for great as in within the most elite rank within the Church of Satan. All right. And even when you look at the word mega in Latin, because that's in Greek, but when you correlate that word mega in Latin, it literally means witch, you know, which again, it's ironic enough that the Roman Empire, which is America right now, and the rest of these nations are also likened unto that serpent. All right. That was later turned to a dragon. Matter of fact, let's go in and read this in Revelation, the 12th chapter, because when you look at this dragon, how it correlates to that dragon that beguiled Eve in the garden, you go into that word, it literally goes into the word witch or sorcerer, which in Latin, it's pronounced mega. OK, so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 12. And I'm going to jump straight to the point here. And it's going into the Roman Empire, which the extension of the Roman Empire is America and the European Union, the nations that are tied with the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. But when you read this here in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, and jumping straight here to the point, let's see here. This is it right here. Revelation chapter 12, verse 15, it says, and that serpent cast out of his, oh, you know what? Let me go into, hold on one sec. Let me start at a better point. Because this serpent, it's talking about the beast having 7 heads and 10 horns, which again is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization known as NATO and the EU, which is headed by America. And this all makes up the modern day Roman Empire, which is likened to being a dragon. OK, so this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. And it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, which is called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. So it says that old serpent, and the old serpent that it's alluding to is that serpent you can read about in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, that same serpent that beguiled Eve. And this here shows you that that's not actually a snake, as the Christian church will tell you, but it's actually teaching a way of life. All right. Or back then, I'd rather say it's a nation of people. All right. And it's a theology that they teach. All right. Wickedness. And that same spirit is found within Esau, Edom here today. That same spirit is pushed here in Mystery Babylon. All right. And these allied nations that it's tied to. That same spirit was pushed in ancient Rome. And that spirit was pushed by that serpent in Genesis 3. But it says that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, he was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. All right. So this is going into the judgment of the serpent here in Revelation 12. in Revelation 12 tells you that that serpent later on became a beast having 7 heads and 10 horns, which is ironically enough tied with Mystery Babylon and those allied nations. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up going into the serpent, because again, when you go into that word serpent in Genesis 3, which is the serpent that's being spoken of in Revelation 12, hopefully this is coming together. But when you go into this word serpent in Genesis 3 and 1, the same serpent that beguiled Eve, you look into that word in the Hebrew, and that word is pronounced in the Hebrew, nachash. Okay? It's nachash. And when you go into this word nachash, into the root of that, it means to practice divination, which is witchcraft, to practice witchcraft, to observe signs and omens. All right. So Revelation 12 shows you that there was a lot of omens and divination that was practiced here, which is the same reason why Babylon is called Babylon the Great. All right. Again, great is Magas within the Greek, and within the Latin, it means witch, which also Babylon is called the mistress of witchcraft. And I can end it off here in Isaiah, because I'm getting to the point. Hopefully it came together, but let me see here. Actually, excuse me. It's mentioned in Isaiah 47 as well, the great harlot, or I said a queen, but I was thinking about Nahum, the 3rd chapter, which is a judgment to Nineveh in the last days. And this Nineveh that's being judged in the last days is a symbolic name, or another symbolic name for America, or Babylon the Great. Okay. But this is Nahum, the 3rd chapter, and I'm going to jump straight to it here in verse 4. And it says, because the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, just as you can read about this harlot in Revelation 19 and Revelation 18. But it says, the mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. And that's talking about the modern day Roman Empire, which is America. All right. Or I'd rather say it's headed by America. And this is what that's talking about. And again, there's so many examples and clues that ties America to be Babylon the Great. All right. And again, it's the witchcraft that's tied to it. And again, you see even what's pushed, Maga, Maga, Maga. You hear that word Maga being pushed a lot, which again, they'll tell you it's an acronym for Make America Great Again, which you find the word great within that. But it's also the same word for great in Revelation 18, where it goes into the fall of Babylon the Great. It's the same word, which is also the same word for the highest degree. All right. In the Church of Satan, which is the more, most elite degree that's out there. And these are people that's within positions or high positions within this world, I'd rather say. All right. But again, when you go into this word here, witchcrafts, you find the word kashap, which goes right into sorcery and witchcraft, which acts as a synonym to the word nachash, or serpent. All right. So I just wanted to go into this lesson and just push here to show that there's plenty of examples that are here to tie America with Babylon the Great. And again, when you even look in the word great, or mega, that ties right into what we see here today, which is America. So hopefully this was edifying. I want to end it off on that. I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule well through the Holy Spirit. And again, I want to say peace, blessings, salutations, greetings, obviously, of course, or farewell as always, that are unto you elect who are scattered throughout the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. Shalom.